Hello everyone, this is EasyDividends.com and thank you for watching this video. And in this video we're just going to discuss the topic, can expats end up with more assets over a period of time than if you were not an expat or you did not become an expat? Okay, and so I'm just going to discuss some opinions here, my opinions on this topic.
So, today I want to talk about, to answer the question, can expats build more assets overseas? And this is a very open-ended question. And I just want to, there is no answer. There is no straight answer to this question. And I'll tell you straight out, this is a question that's very open-ended and it really depends on the individual circumstances. And I just want to outline here the factors that influence this question. So the answer to this question could be yes, you could build much more assets being an expat, or no, you wouldn't be able to build more assets being an expat. And there's a number of factors that I want to talk about here and just discuss with you. Okay? So the first thing I want to do is break down expats into three different categories, and I want to exclude two categories. Okay, so the first category are retirees. Now, I don't want to have retirees in this category because if you're a retiree and you're an expat, most likely you probably do have passive income, and most likely a government pension, a company pension, or some other passive income stream that you create on your own, such as a rental or dividend growth investing, dividend income. But anyways, you're a retiree. If you're a retiree, you're truly retired and you're not probably looking to build your assets anymore. So I'm not considering this category of expats. Okay, so if you are in this category, you're a retiree, you have passive income, you're not actively building your income. So what I consider is, if just because you have okay, let's say you have a rental or you have dividends from a portfolio. Now, just doing a couple buy-in trades every year, that's not considered, you're still a retiree. Okay, so you're basically retired and you're not looking to build actively. You're not actively working to build income anymore. Okay, so but those retirees who claim to be FIRE and they're actually still working and doing other streams of income, those are called, I consider those as digital nomads. They're not true retirees, even though some early retirees claim to be retired, but they're actually still doing a whole bunch of other things. That's just switching your job. What your previous job was, you're becoming a digital nomad. You're actively building income online, but that's not a real retiree. So real retirees, they have a set passive stream of income. They're not, actively building their income. So they probably rent out a place to somebody, or they have dividend income coming in, and they're truly retired. So they're totally living off their income, passive income they have. Okay, so I'm not considering this category of expats. And the second category I'm not going to consider as well are high-level executives who work for multinational companies and they somehow transferred out to a different remote location. So those I'm also not considering, because the answer to that is obvious. If you're in that position, you're in an executive level position, a VP, CEO, whatever, you transferred out to a different location, you're obviously going to get all these company perks. And especially if you're transferred to a low-cost location, then that's obvious. You're going to be saving more assets. So if you're in that position, I'm also not considering those type of expats. So these two, the true retirees and the second are the multi-level, multinational executives. I'm not considering those two types of expats. So what I'm really going to talk about to answer this question are the third type of expats, which are people like me who are actively still pursuing income by working. It doesn't matter how, but you're still working, but you're working overseas as an expat. Okay, so I'm going to consider this. Okay, so the third category of expats are expats who are actively pursuing income overseas. Okay, so excluding the retirees and excluding the high-level, multi-level, multinational company transfers, we're talking about expats that are specifically looking overseas to pursue income. And there's a number of reasons why these type of expats. And this type of expats includes me. I'm part of the third expats. And so there's I think there's a lot of reasons, but three main reasons why some expats are in this category. And the first, I think, are maybe some fresh graduates or recent graduates who couldn't find work back in their home country, and they have to go overseas to pursue some kind of work because there's no opportunities back home. So I see a lot of ESL English teachers fall in this category, and then some fresh teachers of some sort. And so this is really the first category that I'm talking about. And the second reason I see, as a personal reason, you might be curious about the culture of a different country, and you're actively looking to pursue some kind of job opportunity in that particular country. You're interested in that culture. You want to find out more about that different country. And for purposes of definition, I'm not going to consider expats moving from the United States to Canada or Canada to the United States. That's not in my eyes not considered to be expat. The cost of living is very similar, and the actual culture is very similar. So I'm not considering this to be an expat, because I lived and worked in both countries, and it's quite similar. So I'm saying expats as living in a totally different culture, moving overseas to a remote location, a faraway location. And Mexico could be considered because it's a different culture. Okay. All right. So the second reason, you're interested in finding about the culture of that country. You'd like to stay there for a few years or whatever, a year or longer. So you're considering you're an expat and you want to specifically look for work in your country of interest. Okay. And the third reason, you need to change. You want to, you've had life changes back home and you needed to change, and you're looking actively to leave your surroundings, and you just want a fresh start. And I kind of fall into this category myself as an expat. So why do I fall in this category? Well, at the time, I was going through a divorce, and I just finished a contract job, and I was finishing up a degree, an online degree, and so I wanted to leave. I didn't want to stay where I was. I wanted to a fresh start and just find a different opportunity somewhere. Not necessarily a different opportunity for my career path, just kind of change of environment and just leave the environment. So this is what I did. And when I first moved overseas, I did secure a contract job with the same company as a contractor that I worked for before, which was an investment bank, and I ended up working there for 2 years. And I went overseas to People's Republic, China, and Shanghai, and I worked there for 2 years as a contractor, and doing not exactly the same role, but doing something similar. So that for me was a kind of a change. I wanted to change. I sold my condo back home, and I just decided to move overseas for this reason, because I wanted a fresh start. Okay, that was my situation as well. So these three reasons, and there's also other. The fourth reason I forgot to say, there's also the digital nomads, and these I don't consider these as FIRE. This is the big term. I'm going to discuss a video about FIRE next time, but FIRE is the definition called financially independent, retire early. But digital nomads, in my opinion, don't fall into this category, okay, because they are still pursuing income actively online, and they're not truly retired, okay. They're just pursuing income in a different manner, which is digital nomad. And I want to discuss this in another video. So after outlining these reasons, we're talking about the number 3 type of expats, actively looking for work overseas. Okay, so I outlined 4 reasons. Okay, so either you couldn't pursue a job, it was difficult to pursue a job back in your home country. Number 2, you needed to change. Okay, you needed to change from the current environment. Okay. Number 3, you're a digital nomad, so you shifted your incomes. You changed jobs, and you're able to work online, so you become a digital nomad. So you've moved overseas for that reason. Number 4, you're genuinely curious about finding out about this particular country, wherever expat, whatever country you're choosing, that's the culture, and you want to just live there for some time to find out a little bit, kind of understand a little bit more about the culture there. So let's go back to that question: can expats accumulate more assets overseas? And we've excluded retirees, and we've also excluded high-level, multi-level, high-level executives that transfer from multinational companies. Okay, we've excluded these two types of expats. Okay, so all right, so let's dive into the factors here for this third type of expats, which include myself. Okay, so I would just say a conservative estimate. Okay, so these factors really depends. The answer in my situation is I probably would have accumulated more assets back home than becoming an expat. And the reason I say this is because I just do a quick calculation of what again, this is a simulation scenario, and things could change. But I've been an expat for about 10 years now, and I'm just doing a very simple calculation. Okay, so let's say back home I continue on my career path. I would have saved about, let's say, $25,000 a year. That's conservatively. Okay, for 10 years, that'd work out to be $250,000. And I have not considered this as even investing in anything. Just this is very conservative again. Just straight cash. Okay, $250,000. I wouldn't have sold my condo. The condo would be worth about $450,000 by now. Okay, so I would peg my assets at about $700,000 very conservatively, and I'd have to say a little more, add $50,000 because I probably would be investing. Maybe not creating my portfolio from scratch as I've done these past years, but at least investing in some mutual funds or maybe even ETFs. Because I didn't, as back home, I may not have the extra time to create the dividend portfolio that I have now. But let's just consider, okay, 750. So right now my portfolio is worth about 650, a little less than that, and I do have some cash. So 650. So I would consider myself now. I would say that I probably would have accumulated a little more assets if I had been an expat. But this is, again, there's so many factors into this, considering this, and anything could change year to year, much less 10 years. So this is a very, very rough estimate. Okay, this is very rough. Again, now this is it's very rough, and for my personal history, I haven't been in the corporate world since mid 2012, and so this I also considered because I left my contract job in Shanghai in 2012. Okay, and so after that I started doing part-time work, which is mostly teaching CS, computer science. And so this opened up a lot more time for me, because I was teaching only 18 hours a week, at the most 20, but nothing past 20 hours. And so for this case, I also raise 2 kids actively now, and that takes a lot of time. So what I'm trying to say is, if it's just on monetary terms, I probably may have been further ahead by not being an expat. But also, if you look at the non-monetary terms, such as the work-life balance and the added time that I have to pursue other things, and such as creating my dividend portfolio, that extra time there, you can't really put a value on that. So it's very difficult to find out, how much would that be cost, or how much would that be worth. And so when I see the time and effort that I made into creating my dividend portfolio, and that was really, that was time well spent. And if I look back, a lot of my funds to create my portfolio wasn't made overseas here. Part of it was, but most of it was made back home from the sale of my condominium and savings I had before. So the actual money that I used, the seed money I used to create my portfolio, it wasn't actually made here. It wasn't actually made overseas. Most of it was, again, it was accumulated back home before I came overseas, and I used this money overseas, while overseas, to invest in, create this portfolio. And this portfolio I've added money. I've added little bits and amounts of money from overseas, but a lot of this initial seed money was back home. So again, this is really my own situation, and you know, everyone's situation is different, but this is how I say you really to answer this question is it's a very open-ended question. So, can you accumulate more assets as an expat, excluding true retirees and excluding multinational executives? So, and this is why it really depends. Okay, it depends on your situation, and if you do consider work-life balance and other non-monetary issues, such as some people like warmer climates, etc., things like that. And it's very difficult to pinpoint a price tag on this particular issue, right? So we can't really say for sure. So the answer is it really depends on your own situation. If there's one, I think there's one maybe general conclusion I would make would be, now, if you have a proper career path, and you're not, you know, if you don't really want to escape your life, you just, you know, you still see juice in your career path, and you know, you don't really see it necessary to create a change. Now, I would say, you know, not to be an expat, you could probably still get further ahead than being an expat if you're actively in a career field where you're getting paid a decent salary. So that's the kind of conclusion I would say. But obviously there's going to be a lot of different issues involved in, like I outlined before, you know, you're looking for a change and you're interested in that, one particular country you'd like to go to, and all these non-monetary issues. Now if that's the case, then that's a different story, but I think for the answer to this question is really, let's check on Google, let's check the general census. But I'm pretty sure it's the same as what I'm saying here. So it really depends on a number of factors to your circumstance as well.
So we're at the Google search site, and I'm just going to type in something. Can expats make more money overseas? And I'm pretty sure there's going to be a standard answer here, and let's just take a look at what the answer is going to be here. Alright, so let's search this. So the standard answer, can expats make money overseas? New research from HSBC says the average expat adds an extra $21,000 to the annual salary. Okay, so this is probably talking about expats who have a package, or a really good paid package. So again, this is probably, the search is probably not what I'm talking about here. What I really mean is, can you, you know, if you're specifically looking to make money overseas, can you save more? And I think it's very difficult to kind of pinpoint this down. Okay, so basically this is all I want to talk about, and you know, we'll discuss the FIRE movement in the next video. Okay, so that's it for now, and thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.